God says, I will never talk to you if you skip him now. A big tragedy is coming your way. I am trying to save you from a huge danger. Don't you dare to skip this. This may seem like a warning wrapped in mystery, but it is truly a whisper of love, a soft cry from the heart of the one who created you, calling you back into his arms. This is not about fear, it's about mercy. It's not about threat, it's about protection. There are moments when life trembles under the weight of the unknown, and in those moments, God speaks. Not with thunder or fire, but with a gentle nudge to your soul that says, "Come closer, I'm here." Type Amen if you believe God still speaks to you today. There is something so sacred about the quiet moments when you feel your spirit tugged, when something deep within you knows that God is near, and all he wants is for you to listen. Right now, he is reaching for you. Not to scold you or turn you away, but to save you from something only he can see ahead. He is not a God of distance. He is a Father who steps into your story, stands in the middle of your storms, and whispers truth into the chaos you cannot control. Skipping him is not just walking away from peace, it's turning away from the very one who holds your future. Sometimes, the noise of the world is so loud that we miss the small, sacred invitations from God. They don't come wrapped in bright lights or grand signs. They come in moments like this. In the middle of your scrolling, in the middle of your routine, God is saying, "Don't skip this. I am here. I'm trying to protect you." This isn't just another message. It's the soft pull of God on your heart. He sees what you cannot. He sees what's about to come, and he's not trying to scare you, he's trying to shelter you. Every heartbeat is a reminder that you are still here, still held, still chosen. The danger that waits on the other side of disobedience isn't always something dramatic or visible. Sometimes it's the slow ache of emptiness. Sometimes it's a heart that drifts so far from God, it forgets how to find its way back. But God doesn't forget you. Not for a second. Even now, he's trying to turn your eyes back toward the light, so you don't stumble in the darkness. He's not trying to take control of your life, he's trying to give you back the life you were always meant to live. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to feel worthy or strong or prepared. You just need to be willing. Willing to pause. Willing to listen. Willing to return. The tragedy God is trying to save you from may not be seen with your eyes yet, but he sees it. He sees the hidden traps, the emotional weights, the spiritual attacks that are forming in the shadows. And he is calling you to stay close to him, not because he needs you, but because you need him more than you know. Type 1111 if you trust in God's protection over your life. There is a sweetness in surrender that the world will never understand. The world tells you to push forward, to rely on yourself, to chase success, to silence the stillness. But the kingdom of God invites you into something deeper. It invites you to stop striving and start resting. To let go of your defenses and let his grace hold you. God isn't interested in scaring you straight. He's interested in loving you home. He knows the weight of what's ahead, and he knows the strength you'll need to walk through it. That strength doesn't come from pretending everything is okay. It comes from pressing into the arms of the one who already overcame it all. So right now, just breathe. Just pause. Let these words soak into your spirit. Let them remind you that God has never left you, never given up on you, and never will. But He cannot force you to stay. Love always gives you the choice. You can walk away, you can skip this moment, but know this: His silence is not anger. It is grief. Because He wanted to speak to you. He wanted to protect you. And if you turn away now, you may miss the very thing your soul has been crying out for. He doesn't want your perfection. He wants your heart. A heart that says, "Here I am, Lord. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I trust you." He knows you get tired. He knows you carry burdens no one else sees. He knows your heart is wounded, maybe even bitter. But still, He says, "Come." Not because you're good enough, but because His love is. This is not just a message. It's a lifeline. A quiet, holy invitation to return before something breaks. Before the storm fully forms. Before the enemy's plans unfold. You are not reading this by accident. This is a divine moment in time where heaven bends low to remind you that you are not alone, not forgotten, and not too far gone. They are not meant to terrify you, but to awaken you gently, to shake your spirit awake from the numbness that creeps in when life becomes too heavy or too loud. God is calling not because He is angry, but because He is aching to keep you safe. Type 222 if you believe God is calling you closer today. There is something so tender about the way God reaches for us in our mess, in our weariness, in the moments we feel furthest from Him. When we're too tired to pray, too lost to hope, too hardened to feel, He still shows up. Quietly. Lovingly. Even now, He sees the cracks in your heart, the questions you bury, the tears you refuse to cry, and He's saying, "Don't look away. Don't scroll past this moment. I have something to give you that no one else can." His voice is not demanding, but it's steady. It carries weight because it comes from eternity, and it knows what's waiting if you ignore Him. A powerful 7-second morning ritual, once hidden in CIA files, is resurfacing, and people are already seeing fast financial breakthroughs. It takes only seconds, yet activates a dormant wealth center in the brain most people never access. Click the link in the description and comments now. Access it before it disappears. Life doesn't always show us warnings in big, clear signs. Sometimes the warning comes as a soft pull in your spirit, a strange unease you can't explain, a restlessness that nothing else can quiet. That's often how God speaks, not in lightning, but in stillness. And that stillness is whispering to you now. You may not understand what's ahead, but God does. He sees the full picture. And He is not trying to shame you. He is trying to prepare you. There is a danger in thinking we have time. The enemy loves to lull us into delay, to convince us that we can come back to God later, that we can pray when we're less busy, that we can surrender once we're done fixing our lives. But God knows that delay often leads to distance, and distance opens the door to destruction. Not always in ways we see immediately. Sometimes, the tragedy is slow. A loss of peace. A loss of purpose. A soul wandering further away from its Maker until the voice of God is no longer heard at all. You were never created to walk alone. You were never meant to fight your battles without heaven backing you up. But if you choose to walk without God, if you ignore the moments when He gently calls you, the silence that follows will not be punishment, it will be heartbreak. His heart breaking because He tried to speak, and you were too distracted to hear Him. Too focused on things that won't save you, too buried in temporary escapes to notice the eternal arms stretched out toward you. There is still time, but don't waste it. This moment is holy. It's not just another scroll or another story, it is your soul being reached by the one who formed it. He doesn't need your perfect faith. He just needs a willing heart. He just needs you to stop running. He wants to wrap you in comfort, to protect you from what you don't yet see, to calm the storms before they even start. But if you walk away now, if you silence His voice, you also close the door to the help He is ready to give you. God does not send tragedy, but He warns us when one is near. He doesn't take pleasure in our pain, but He will not force Himself into a heart that won't receive Him. That's why He's warning you now, not because He's distant, but because He's close. So close, in fact, that you can hear His voice if you choose to listen. And in listening, you might just escape something that would have destroyed you. That's how powerful His love is. It protects, it shields, it guides, but only when you let it in. Type 555 if you know God is keeping you from unseen harm right now. You don't have to have it all together to come back to God. You don't have to understand the whole picture. You don't even need to feel strong. You just need to be honest. Maybe you've been distracted. Maybe you've been hurt by life, by people, even by religion. But God isn't calling you into rules. He's calling you into rest. He's calling you out of the pressure and into His presence, where healing begins. And that healing can't happen if you turn away now. This is your moment to come back, to stop running, to let your heart soften again. Not because God is forcing you, but because He's been waiting for this. Waiting to catch your tears, to carry your burdens, to restore what was broken. And He will, but only if you choose Him now. Not later. Not when life gets easier. Not when you feel more spiritual. But now, in this sacred pause, when heaven is reaching for you in love. Even when you've ignored Him before, even when you've doubted or walked away, He has never once stopped watching over you. Every close call, every escape from harm, every small miracle you didn't even notice, that was Him. That was God saying, "I'm still here." But there comes a time when His voice grows quiet, not because He's gone, but because your heart has grown too hard to hear Him. And He doesn't want that for you. That's why this warning is wrapped in love. Not to scare you, but to save you. Let today be the day you say yes again. Let today be the day your heart turns back, even if it's trembling. God sees the road ahead. He sees the attacks forming. He sees the loneliness, the confusion, the spiritual dryness that's trying to settle in. But He also sees what can happen if you stay with Him. He sees peace. He sees growth. He sees joy blooming where sorrow once lived. He sees your story redeemed. And He's ready to walk you through it. Just don't skip Him. Not now. Not when He's trying to pull you out of what would destroy you. Not when He's been reaching for you, whispering to you, shielding you in ways you didn't even recognize. His silence will hurt more than anything you fear right now. His absence will leave a void nothing else can fill. So don't push him away. His voice doesn't thunder in this moment, it pleads. Not to control you, but to cradle you in the safest place your soul will ever know, his presence. Type yes to affirm that you are ready to follow God's voice today. Sometimes, when we are too consumed by what's happening around us, we begin to lose touch with what's happening within us. We drift, little by little, pulled by distractions, carried by disappointments, weighed down by responsibilities. In the slow pull away, we stop noticing how distant we've become from the one who once felt so close. But God hasn't moved. He's still where he's always been, watching over you, waiting patiently, hoping you'll notice that something is missing, not things, not people, not success, but him. A simple but powerful 7-second at-home ritual, it's hidden in CIA files for years, is now changing lives rapidly. Backed by neuroscience research, it can begin shifting your financial direction in just days. Click the link in the description and comments now and step into abundance today. There are moments when you feel a strange emptiness even in the middle of a full life, when the world seems noisy but your soul feels quiet, hollow, disconnected. That feeling isn't your weakness, it's your soul crying out for God. It's His Spirit stirring your heart, reminding you that something eternal is missing from your days. That's what this message is. Not a demand, but a reminder. You were never made to carry life without the one who gave it to you. You weren't made to walk blindly through the unknown when there's a light willing to guide you. But skipping God means skipping that light. It means walking through valleys without direction, climbing mountains without strength, facing grief without comfort, and chasing joy that never lasts. That's not what God wants for you. And even now, He's calling out not to punish you, but to bring you back to safety. Because He knows the danger ahead. He sees the moments that will knock the wind out of you. He sees the people who may break your heart. He sees the loneliness that could swallow you if you're not anchored in Him. And He doesn't want you to face that alone. Every day without God is like walking with your eyes closed. You may move, you may get things done, but your spirit feels off balance. It aches for something more. That ache is holy. It's sacred. It's the echo of your Creator calling you home. And when you ignore it, when you brush past that tug in your heart, you don't just lose a moment, you lose connection. You lose the very covering that could have kept you safe, the whisper that could have warned you, the embrace that could have healed you. God doesn't scream to get your attention. He doesn't force His way in. He doesn't barge into your schedule. He waits. But there comes a time when waiting turns into silence. Not because He stops loving you, but because love will never force itself where it isn't welcomed. That silence is not peace, it's absence. And the most painful thing your soul can experience is the absence of the one it was created to know. So if He's warning you now, it's because there's still time to come back. Time to turn around. Time to hear Him again before you don't. Type 1212 if you walk by faith and not by sight. This world is not always kind. Life is not always fair. People fail. Dreams shatter. The ground beneath you can crumble without warning. But through every heartbreak, every battle, every loss, there is one constant: the love of God. That love won't remove every pain, but it will carry you through it. That love won't always change your situation, but it will change your heart in the middle of it. It will give you peace that doesn't make sense, strength that feels supernatural, and joy that rises from places where sorrow once ruled. But if you cut off that love, if you silence that voice, if you skip this moment, what happens then? Who will you turn to when everything breaks? What anchor will hold you when the winds rise? God isn't begging you because He's needy. He's calling because He knows what you don't. He's calling because He sees the danger you can't see, and He's trying to keep you from it before it reaches you. He knows your pain. He knows your doubts. And He still wants you. That is grace. Even when your prayers feel weak. Even when your faith feels broken. Even when you've failed 1,000 times. He still says, "Come." Not because you've earned it, but because He's already paid the price for you to walk freely into His arms. This message isn't about guilt. It's about freedom. The kind of freedom that only comes when you finally realize you don't have to carry everything alone anymore. When you realize that His hands are stronger than yours, and He's already holding the pieces of the future you're scared of. Don't trade divine protection for temporary pleasures. Don't ignore eternal peace for passing distractions. This world will always offer noise, but it can never offer what your soul truly longs for. Only Jesus can do that. Only His love can heal the wounds you hide. Only His truth can cut through the lies that weigh you down. Only His presence can give you rest when your heart is tired of pretending to be okay. There's a path that leads to hope, to healing, to restoration, but that path always begins with surrender. Not the kind of surrender that makes you feel weak, but the kind that finally sets you free. Free from fear. Free from shame. Free from the pressure to do it all alone. When you choose God, you're not choosing religion. You're choosing relationship. You're choosing to let the one who sees everything lead you through anything. So before the silence comes, before the tragedy takes shape, before you're left wondering where things went wrong, return. Let this be your turning point. Let this be the day you listen to the quiet nudge instead of the loud distractions. Let this be the day you come home. Because when you do, heaven doesn't greet you with judgment, it throws a celebration. God isn't holding your mistakes against you. He's holding out His hand, ready to walk you into something new. This isn't just about avoiding tragedy. It's about rediscovering life. Real life. The kind that's rich with peace and drenched in purpose. The kind that doesn't fade when things go wrong, because it's rooted in a love that never changes. That's what God is offering. When God speaks like this, it's because something ahead is trying to break what He wants to build in you. He sees what's waiting around the corner, and He doesn't want you walking into it unprepared, uncovered, or alone. Type 1919 to receive miracles that only God can bring into your life. What if wealth was never about luck, but a hidden brain signal buried in CIA files? This frequency is opening doors, attracting opportunities, and changing lives quickly. Thousands are already using it to attract wealth like never before. Click the link in the description and comments now and activate the money-attracting brain wave today. God is never dramatic for the sake of attention. He is holy. He is loving. He is good beyond what human hearts can fully understand. When He warns, it's with the full knowledge of what's being formed in the invisible. It's with eyes that see spiritual battles, emotional wounds, unexpected losses, and soul-sized dangers before they manifest. That's why His messages don't always come with details, they come with direction. They come with mercy. They come with love that wants to protect, even when we think we don't need protecting. Sometimes we forget how fragile our peace is. How quickly joy can slip through our fingers when we build our lives on anything but Jesus. You could have everything today: health, laughter, support, even success, but if you're walking apart from God, you're walking on ground that can collapse without warning. The enemy does not need your permission to attack. He only needs your distraction. And the easiest way to fall into his trap is by ignoring the still, small voice that tells you to stay close to God before you know why. There are things you've prayed for that are on the way, but they're not arriving without resistance. The enemy doesn't mind you dreaming, as long as you stay disconnected from the one who makes dreams grow. He doesn't mind you working hard, as long as you're spiritually empty. He wants you distracted, worn down, far from the voice that calms your fears and lights your path. That's why God is speaking now. That's why He's calling you to stop, to listen, and to return, before the enemy launches what he's been planning. And God is not calling you because you've done something wrong. He's calling because He wants to make something right. Maybe you've been trying to fix your life on your own. Maybe you've been pushing through sadness, pretending everything is okay, convincing yourself you'll get back to God later. But what if later never comes? What if the cracks in your soul grow wider with every delay? What if the very thing you're trying to survive is the thing He's been trying to rescue you from? Don't miss this moment. This isn't just another reminder. It's a divine encounter. God isn't done with you. He's just not willing to bless a version of you that walks without Him. He loves you too much to let you keep building your life on your own strength. He knows it will crumble. He knows the weight will crush you. And He knows that without Him, the enemy will find his way into your heart through pain, bitterness, confusion, and fear. God's silence isn't a punishment, it's a warning of what happens when we tune Him out. It's not loud. It's not cruel. It's just empty. That emptiness doesn't hit all at once. It sneaks in, slowly, quietly. One skipped prayer at a time. One ignored whisper. One delayed response. Until suddenly, you're surrounded by problems and wonder why nothing feels right anymore. That's not where God wants to leave you. That's why He's interrupting you now, reaching through your day, pulling your soul back into a place of peace. Type 666 if you trust Jesus with your heart and your future. This isn't about rules. It's not about guilt. It's about life. God is life. He is the breath in your lungs, the stillness in your storms, the light in every dark room you've been trapped in. He's the reason you're still standing. And the reason he's speaking now is because something ahead is trying to knock you down in a way you've never faced before. But he's not going to let that happen, not if you stay close. Don't underestimate what it means to have God guiding your steps. The world can fall apart, and you'll still be steady. People can betray you, and you'll still be whole. Doors can close, and you'll still have peace. That's the kind of life God wants for you, a life anchored not in what you can control, but in who you belong to. And you belong to Him. Not because you're perfect, but because you're His. You don't have to wait until things fall apart to come back. You don't have to wait until the pain forces you to pray. You can choose Him now. You can come back before the storm. You can let His voice lead you around the traps the enemy is laying down. And the more you listen, the more you'll see what He's been saving you from. You may never know what you avoided. You may never see the full danger He kept you from. But your spirit will know you are safe. Your soul will know you are loved. God doesn't shout to get your attention. He doesn't send guilt to get your loyalty. He speaks in love. But that love carries a weight so deep, it demands your response. Not because He needs your worship, but because you need His presence. You need Him more than you need anything this world can give. You need Him more than the people you cling to, the things you chase, the plans you make. This isn't a message to scare you. It's a message to bring you back to the arms that never stopped waiting. It's a message to shake off the numbness and remember that you are more than the pain you carry, more than the noise around you, more than the distance you've allowed to grow between you and God. You are chosen. You are seen. You are loved. And you are being warned because you matter. The day is coming when you will be glad you listened. The tragedy God is trying to protect you from might never be seen, because you chose to stay close. Because you chose to listen. Because you said yes when everything around you said it didn't matter. But your spirit knows it does. Deep down, you know this is for you. Not for someone else. Not just another message. This is your moment to step back into the grace that's been chasing you all along. God is trying to reach you before something breaks. He's trying to stop the sorrow you didn't see coming, the collapse that's forming quietly in the background. You don't need to understand everything right now, but you do need to stop and listen. Type 2323 if you agree that God's timing is never wrong. A 7-second at-home ritual, scientifically proven by neuroscience labs and hidden for decades in CIA files, is now public, and people are seeing money flow into their lives. Scientists say it activates a brain pathway linked to abundance. Click the link in the comments below before this knowledge disappears again. There are times in life when things seem fine on the surface, but something feels off inside. You smile, you talk, you go through the motions, but your soul knows something's missing. That emptiness you can't explain. That subtle feeling of being lost even when everything looks normal. That's not weakness. That's God whispering. He's asking for your attention before something shows up that you aren't ready for. He isn't angry. He isn't tired of you. He's simply trying to hold you before you fall. He knows you've been tired. Not just physically, but spiritually. He knows you've been running, maybe not on purpose, but slowly drifting away from him because life got too loud. He's not blaming you for that. But he's warning you now because he knows what's ahead if you don't return. Sometimes, the biggest dangers are the ones that look harmless at first. The habits we ignore. The pain we bury. The patterns we repeat without thinking. These small cracks can grow into deep wounds if left unattended. And God, in His mercy, doesn't want that to happen to you. There are angels assigned to you. There are battles being fought that you can't see. Every day, heaven has covered you even when you didn't ask. You've been protected from things you'll never even know about. But when you walk too far from God, that covering begins to thin. Not because He removes it, but because your choices place you outside of it. God respects your freedom. But that same freedom can become a trap if used without wisdom. And that's why He's calling to you now. This message isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to wake you up gently, so you don't step into a future that was never meant for you. When God stops speaking, it's not because He's finished with you, it's because you stopped listening. And once the silence comes, once the stillness turns into distance, it becomes harder to return. Not because He won't take you back, but because your heart will have changed. That's what makes this moment so important. Your heart is still soft. You still feel the pull. You still recognize that this message is for you. Don't wait until that tenderness fades. Don't wait until His voice feels unfamiliar. Say yes now, while you still can. God never stops loving, but His presence responds to pursuit. If you chase after Him, even in your weakness, He will meet you with strength. But if you keep choosing everything else over Him, if you keep silencing His whispers with noise, then slowly, the light begins to dim. And you find yourself walking through life without direction, wondering why things feel so hollow. That's not how your story has to go. You were created for more. You were created for closeness with God, for peace that doesn't leave, for joy that doesn't rely on your circumstances. Type 1111 if you believe in the promise of God's covering over your life. This is your moment to come home. Not later. Not someday. Now. God is holding out His hand. Not with punishment, but with protection. He knows what the enemy is planning. He sees the trap, the setup, the quiet plan to destroy your peace, your relationships, your mind. But God will not let it succeed if you stay with Him. The tragedy the enemy has prepared cannot touch you when you're hidden in the arms of your Savior. But you have to make that choice. You have to say, "Yes, Lord, I'm not skipping this. I'm staying with you." There is nothing too broken in your life that God can't rebuild. Nothing too far gone that He cannot restore. But you cannot expect healing without His hands on your life. You cannot expect peace while walking away from the Prince of Peace. He is the source. Not just of blessings, but of life itself. When you skip Him, you're not just missing a message, you're walking past the very shield that was meant to keep you safe. And the worst part? You won't even see what you missed until it's too late. But not today. Today, you're being given another chance. A fresh invitation. A sacred whisper wrapped in love. Don't waste it. Let your heart respond. Let your soul cry out. Even if all you can say is, "God, I need you," that's enough. He's not looking for perfect words. He's looking for a willing heart. One that is ready to surrender, ready to come back, ready to be led again. You may have wandered, but God has never lost sight of you. You may have fallen, but He's still offering His hand. The world may have told you that you're too broken, too late, too far gone, but God says you're still His. And He wants you back before the danger comes. Before the grief hits. Before the enemy strikes. He doesn't want you caught off guard. He wants you strong, protected, and filled with the power of His Spirit. So breathe deep. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the delay. And say yes to the one who never stopped loving you. Say yes before it's too late. Because what's ahead isn't stronger than God, but it may be stronger than you without Him. Sometimes, it's the quietest whisper that carries the greatest weight. And when He speaks with urgency like this, it's because He sees something rising in the distance that your eyes haven't yet caught. He isn't trying to scare you, He's trying to hold you before the waves rise. Type Amen if you believe God is calling you into His protection today. You may not feel like you're in danger. Your days might seem fine, your world might feel calm, but God knows what's being formed behind the curtain of time. He knows the schemes of the enemy, the traps being laid out one step at a time. He knows the exact moment when your strength will run out, and that's why He's calling you to lean into His. He doesn't want you to arrive at the edge of the storm unprepared. He wants to walk you through it with peace, not panic. But for that to happen, you have to stay close now. A classified 7-second morning ritual, once buried in CIA files, is quietly transforming financial lives. In under 30 seconds, it helps shift the mind from scarcity to wealth, with many reporting surprise income and peace. Click the link in the comments below before the page is removed. When you choose to ignore God's voice, when you keep walking like you don't need Him, you're not just taking a spiritual risk, you're walking blindfolded into spiritual battle. The enemy is not waiting for a better moment. He's working quietly, slowly, setting things in place to rob you of your peace, your purpose, your future. And God, who sees all, who knows all, is trying to interrupt your routine to save your life. There's a reason your heart feels stirred right now. There's a reason this message isn't easy to ignore. Your spirit recognizes the voice of its creator. Somewhere deep within, you know this isn't just words, it's a lifeline. God has been reaching out to you in small ways, in silent moments, in late-night thoughts you couldn't shake. And now He's speaking clearly, "Come back to me before it's too late." God never stops loving you, but He cannot force you to listen. His warnings are acts of love. His silence, if it comes, is not because He's angry, it's because your distance creates spiritual deafness. The further you walk without Him, the harder it becomes to hear Him. And before long, the things of this world begin to sound more real than the voice of God. That is not where you want to end up. That is not where your story is meant to go. You were created for connection with God. Not occasional check-ins, not emergency prayers, but daily intimacy. And the beauty of His grace is that even after silence, even after wandering, He is still willing to meet you here. But there's a limit, not to His love, but to the chances you'll get before the storm breaks. That's what this warning is about. Not shame. Not fear. But mercy. A divine invitation to escape what the enemy thought would destroy you. Type 777 if you believe in God's mercy over your life today. Maybe you've been disappointed. Maybe life has worn you down so much that even opening your heart to God feels exhausting. But He's not asking you to have it all figured out. He's not waiting for perfection. He's simply waiting for your yes. Even a weary, broken yes is enough. He can work with that. He can rebuild your spirit with that. He can protect you with that. The world doesn't offer this kind of grace. It offers quick fixes, shallow comfort, fleeting highs. But God offers healing. Real healing. Soul deep, spirit strengthening, life restoring healing. But that kind of healing only comes when you stop skipping Him, when you stop pretending you can handle everything on your own. He's not here to lecture you, He's here to save you. Let your heart be honest. Let it admit how much it needs Him. You don't have to say anything profound. You don't need the right words. You just need to respond. In your own way. In your own time. But don't delay. Because delays turn into distance. And distance turns into silence. And silence turns into danger. You don't want to wait until the storm is overhead to wish you had listened. God's warnings are never empty. His voice never returns void. When He says a tragedy is coming, it means the spiritual pressure is building. It means something is being sent to test you, to shake you, to tear at the seams of what you've built. But when you're in God's presence, even tragedies lose their power to destroy you. They may still come, but they won't break you. They won't define you. They won't have the last word. Because God already wrote the ending of your story. And if you stay close to Him, that ending is filled with peace, joy, and victory. It's not without struggle, but it's full of grace. It's not free from pain, but it's full of purpose. That's what you risk missing if you skip Him now. That's what the enemy is hoping you'll walk away from. They carry the weight of heaven, not as a threat, but as a lifeline. A father's voice, breaking through the noise, urgently reaching for the child he refuses to lose. Type 333 if you feel the pull of God's voice in your heart right now. It's so easy to get caught in the rhythm of routine, in the endless cycle of trying to be strong, trying to appear whole, trying to hold everything together on your own. You get used to hiding the weariness, pretending you don't need help, pushing through each day while silently carrying burdens too heavy for your shoulders. But God sees all of it, the mask, the ache, the fear, and He's not asking you to carry it any longer. He's not asking for performance. He's asking for presence. Your presence. He just wants you to return. When He says, "Don't skip this," it's because something is coming that will require a deeper strength than you've known before. Not a strength from within yourself, but a divine strength that only comes from being anchored in Him. The kind of strength that doesn't panic when the news is bad, that doesn't break when the world shifts, that doesn't give up when prayers seem unanswered. This kind of strength is grown in the stillness, in the surrender, in the secret place where your heart meets His. There is a spiritual storm that has been building behind the curtain of your daily life, one that the enemy has been designing carefully, patiently, silently. It's not always loud. Sometimes it begins with small compromises, emotional fatigue, spiritual dryness that turns into full detachment. And before you realize it, you've drifted so far from God that His voice becomes a memory instead of a comfort. That's the tragedy He's trying to save you from, the tragedy of separation. Not because He'll walk away, but because the further you drift, the harder it becomes to find your way back. Do you know, inside your brain is a small region linked to wealth and success, once buried in restricted research and hidden in CIA files. This newly revealed frequency is helping people replace stress with financial ease, and God has guided you here. Click the link in the description and comments to activate this hidden brain wave now. God isn't warning you to shame you. He's warning you because He knows how fragile life is, how quickly it can change. He knows how swiftly the enemy can use disappointment to turn your heart cold. He knows how quietly fear can move in and make you believe that you're alone. But you're not alone. You've never been. And right now, He is calling again, pleading gently for you to come back before the cracks in your life widen into chasms. Type 444 if you know God is calling you to trust Him again, even through the unknown. The danger God sees may never be revealed to you completely. It might be emotional collapse, relational betrayal, spiritual confusion, or sudden loss. It might be a season where everything you've depended on is shaken. But whatever it is, God sees it forming, and He wants you rooted before it arrives. He wants you in His arms, not scrambling for comfort in all the wrong places. He wants you to have peace, not because life is easy, but because you are hidden in Him. The most painful kind of tragedy is the one that hits when you're unprepared spiritually. When your heart is already empty. When you've distanced yourself from God so long that you don't even recognize His voice when you need it most. But that's not the future He wants for you. That's why He's interrupting your plans with His purpose right now. That's why He's whispering into your spirit, "Return to me, child, before the storm comes." You don't have to do anything dramatic. You don't have to announce anything to the world. All you need is a heart that turns, a spirit that says, "God, I need you." That's where safety begins. That's where peace begins. That's where miracles begin. God isn't waiting for perfect words. He's waiting for the moment you finally stop trying to be enough without Him. Because you were never meant to be. His silence is not rejection, it's the result of a heart too distracted to hear. And once you stop hearing Him, you stop feeling the warmth of His love, the direction of His hand, the comfort of His Spirit. That silence grows slowly, but once it's there, it feels unbearable. God doesn't want you living in that silence. He wants to speak again. He wants to guide you again. He wants to restore everything the world tried to steal from you. But the only way to receive that restoration is by staying. Staying in His presence. Staying in His Word. Staying in surrender. And that's why this moment is sacred. That's why He's speaking now. Because you still have time. Because you still have breath. Because it's not too late. The tragedy he's warning you about may be forming, but his protection is greater. The danger may be real, but so is his deliverance. You are not here by accident. These words are not random. God aligned this moment because he wanted to catch your attention before the enemy caught your soul off guard. He wants to shield you, to cover you, to prepare you. But he cannot do that if you keep walking away. He cannot speak if you keep skipping the very moments he tries to reach you. So stay. Just for a little while longer. Let your spirit breathe. Let your soul feel again. Let your heart remember what it means to rest in the love of your Creator. He's not disappointed in you. He's not ashamed of you. He just misses you. He wants you to know that even now, even after all the delays and distractions, you are still welcome. Still wanted. Still chosen. Let this be the moment you say yes. Not just in emotion, but in decision. A quiet, steady decision that says, I will not skip you again, Lord. I will stay. I will listen. I will follow. Because when you say yes to God, you say no to the destruction the enemy planned. You say no to spiritual confusion. You say no to loneliness. You say no to fear. And in return, you receive something eternal. Something no tragedy can take from you. They are not threats, they are sacred cries from a loving Father who sees the road you're on and is doing everything he can to pull you back before it becomes too late. This is not punishment. It's protection. Type 1010 if you know you need God's covering over your heart today. Sometimes God sends the strongest warnings wrapped in the softest moments. You feel it when everything around you is loud, but something inside you is still unsettled. You try to shake it off, keep moving, act like it's nothing, but deep in your spirit, something knows you've drifted. You've grown distant. The flame that once burned bright has become a flicker, and you've gotten used to surviving without the warmth. But you were never meant to live without the fire of God in your soul. When God is quiet, it doesn't mean he's left. But it does mean something needs to shift. And if you've felt his voice growing fainter, if his presence feels farther than it used to, don't brush it off. That feeling is a sign. He's not gone, but your spirit is in danger of going silent. Not because he's walked away, but because you've allowed life to drown out the sound of his whisper. And that's why he's speaking so clearly right now, because you still have time to turn around. He doesn't want you walking into something that will steal your joy. He doesn't want to watch your peace unravel, your mind spiral, your soul grow numb. He wants to stop the enemy's plans before they unfold. He wants to interrupt the cycle before it spins out of control. He wants to lift you out before the storm begins. But he cannot do that if you continue to ignore him. If you continue to look away every time he reaches for you. If you continue to push aside every nudge in your heart, thinking it can wait until tomorrow. Financial freedom is not about effort, but activating a hidden brain signal once buried in CIA files. Neuroscience shows this sound wave helps attract money and opportunity faster, and thousands are already seeing unexpected income. Click the link in the description and comments now to activate the ancient money wave today. What if there is no tomorrow like you expect? What if the moment you're skipping is the moment that was meant to realign everything? God doesn't operate on our timing. He doesn't wait for our convenience. He moves when the Spirit stirs, and that stirring is happening now. Don't harden your heart. Don't talk yourself out of the very thing your soul has been needing. Don't treat this as just another word, another scroll, another fleeting feeling. This is a moment of divine mercy. A chance to choose differently. A door that may not remain open forever. Type 888 if you choose to walk through that door with God today. You might think you're doing okay. You might have convinced yourself that your silence is peace, that your distance is freedom. But silence without God is emptiness. Distance from Him is danger disguised as independence. The kind of danger that starts small but grows quickly. A cracked wall that suddenly collapses. A neglected heart that suddenly breaks. An unguarded soul that becomes an open target for attacks you never saw coming. That's what God is trying to keep you from. He knows what you've been holding in. He knows the weight you've carried, the silent fears that follow you, the loneliness that creeps in even when people surround you. And He knows that the enemy has been watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But God doesn't just watch, He warns. And right now, He's warning because He still wants to fight for you. Still wants to shelter you. Still wants to restore what's slipping away. You don't have to feel strong to return. You don't need to have the words. You don't need to know how to fix everything. You just need to pause long enough to let His presence in again. And the moment you do, something holy happens. The fear begins to lift. The noise begins to quiet. The tears you've been hiding finally fall in safety. Because you realize you're not alone. You never were. God has been chasing you through the silence, through the heartbreak, through the distractions, through the nights when sleep wouldn't come. And now He's standing right in front of you, not with condemnation, but with open arms. All He wants is your heart. Not your perfection. Not your promises. Just your heart. He'll do the rest. He'll rebuild what was broken. He'll redeem what was lost. But He won't force Himself in. You have to choose Him. Now. Not later. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. The deeper the distance grows. The heavier the silence becomes. And eventually, your heart adjusts to a life without divine direction. You begin to normalize the absence. You stop missing His voice. That's what He's trying to save you from, living without Him and not realizing what you've lost until it's too late. But the beauty of this moment is that it's not too late. Not yet. You still feel the pull. You still recognize the truth in these words. That means your heart is still open. That means your spirit is still listening. And that's all God needs. Just a spark. Just a yes. Just a moment of surrender. From there, He can do miracles. He can silence the enemy. He can break the cycles. He can calm the waves. He can restore the joy you thought was gone forever. He can bring healing to places you buried so deep you stopped believing they could ever feel again. That's the power of His love. It doesn't just rescue. It rebuilds. It revives. It renews. But you must stay. You must listen. You must stop skipping the very moments where heaven is trying to meet you. When you run from Him, you run from your safety. When you push Him away, you push away the very love that was created to carry you through the worst days of your life. Let today be the turning point. Not with drama. Not with performance. But with truth. Honest, raw truth. The kind that says, God, I don't want to lose your voice. I don't want to face what's coming without you. And that's enough. He'll meet you right there. In that moment. In that need. Life often pushes us into seasons where we stop noticing how far we've wandered. We tell ourselves we're just busy, we're just tired, we're just trying to get through another day. But in those small daily choices, we drift from the one who makes sense of all our chaos. The one who holds the future in His hand. And even though God never moves, our silence begins to build walls. Walls that keep His comfort out. Walls that keep us locked in fear, doubt, confusion, and pain we don't know how to process anymore.